Great. I think it's 6:01, so we'll go ahead and get started. In the interest of time, we'll keep us moving forward. Hello again, and welcome everyone. My name is Jaspreet Chahal. I work with Tarleton Hills Park and Recreation District, and we are so excited you could join us today. Our team is very excited to share more about this upcoming new 1.5-mile trail segment that's going to become part of the Beaverton Creek Regional Trail. And then at the end of the presentation, there'll be some time for questions from any attending community members. Tonight, we've got myself and a few colleagues of mine. We've got the project manager, Renee Brucker, and then Liana and Gary Keck, and our consultants as well. Liana, Gary, and Renee, would you like to go ahead and unmute yourselves and introduce?
Hi there, my name is Liana. I work in community engagement at THPRD in design and development, and I'll be co-facilitating and supporting Jaspreet with facilitation tonight.
Good evening, I'm Gary Keck. I'm the design and development manager for the Park District, and I've been working with Renee on this project.
And I'm Renee Brucker, park planner with Tarleton Hills Park and Recreation District. And I've been working on this project quite a few years now and very excited to share with you what we have today.
Thanks, all. We also wanted to acknowledge Andy Katansky, from David Evans and Associates. Andy is the consultant on this project. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So we wanted to kick tonight off with just a little bit background on community visioning. So THPRD did recently completed a community visioning process, which was led by 13 diverse community volunteers who went out into the community and collected ideas through different ways and processes. Translation and interpretation were made available in multiple languages. Engagement numbers were this was a very successful process. In 5 months, this process reached 10,500 people, over 12,500 ideas collected at 117 engagement opportunities. And for this inclusive and diverse community engagement, the process also was awarded a regional prize from Washington County. And as a result of this extensive community engagement process, the district was able to coalesce all of these thousands of community ideas and aspirations under 4 overarching goal areas. The culminating document, which is the Vision Action Plan, is built on 4 overarching goal areas, which are welcoming and inclusive. This includes ideas centered on building community, expanding the role of THPRD in people's lives. Play for everyone, which includes all the ways people want to move, interact, and play with the district. And accessible and safe, which talks more about overall maintenance of facilities and equipment and the ability to access THPRD amenities safely. And then finally, we've got preserving natural spaces with ideas that envision ways for people to be in and enjoy nature. And we also wanted to talk a little bit about different themes under each of these goal areas. So specifically related to trails, there are only two of the 4 goal areas have themes that are related to trails. The first one is accessible and safe. What we heard from the community was make it easier to get to and find parks and facilities, as well as provide a more connected trail system. Under preserving natural spaces, people said these things are important. Maintain existing trails, as well as create a more connected and varied trail system that offers variability in access, as well as equitable access to all natural areas for everyone within the district. And finally, as we talked a little bit about earlier, the resulting document, which is the Vision Action Plan, is helping us bring community ideas to life. And we're now excited to be using public input to inform upcoming and ongoing community projects at THPRD. And if folks would like to read the Vision Action Plan, they can find on the public website, as well as we'll go ahead and add it to the chat as well. And with that, I'm going to invite Renee Brucker to walk us through the next part of this presentation.
Thank you, Jaspreet. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight to talk about the Beaverton Creek Trail project. It is a new trail project, regional trail, and it's 1.5 miles long. It will be 12 feet wide, ADA accessible with 2-foot gravel shoulders. And this trail is funded through the Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program, the Regional Flexible Funds Allocation Grant, and some matching funds from THPRD. It is funded in 2 different phases. We have phase 1, which is our planning phase that we're in right now, and then our design and construction phase, phase 2. And both these phases are being funded in part through the grant programs. The project is located in central Beaverton, and it will be between Hawken Avenue and the Westside Trail. I'm having troubles changing. There we go. This is our district's trails functional plan, and you can see the location of the Beaverton Creek Trail pretty much in the center of the district, circled in green, and all of the red lines and dashed lines are regional trails that are either constructed now or will be constructed as future trails. This is an east-west trail, and it's connecting light rail and community centers, neighborhoods, and other trails in the district. So it is a nice segment that will connect some great opportunities throughout the district. And it will eventually meet up into Hillsborough. So from Beaverton out into Hillsborough. It's kind of exciting to have that type of a system there. In this vicinity map here, it'll show you the red dashed line in the center again is the Beaverton Creek Trail. And you can see that the Murray Road passes right through the center of it, north-south. The light rail lines are running adjacent to the trail. And we have Cedar Hills Crossing to the right. And you can see the Cedar Hills Nature Park, if that will help you get oriented. Our site map takes us in a little bit closer, and it's kind of fun to show on an aerial so you can orient yourself that way as well. Again, the trail is the dashed red lines. And from the upper part of the map here, we are connecting to the Westside Trail right at the northeast corner of the Nature Park. And we will follow to the southeast all the way across to the Cedar Hills Crossing area at the intersection of Hawken and Hall Avenue. You can see we have some big areas of neighboring property owners, and we're working closely with them on this project, as well as our various stakeholders and the jurisdictions in the area. So we'll be working with ODOT, ODOT Rail, TriMet, City of Beaverton and Washington County, just to name a few, as well as the adjacent property owners. We had a quick question about where the Max Line stations are. Beaverton Creek Station is right up here by Nike Woods. If you go just further to the north, you'll come to the Merlot Station. And then when we back over to, let's see, I think it's right in here, we have another station. I guess it's right here. It's right off of Shannon Road, which runs north-south this way. So from our site map, I'm hoping that that gave you a good show of where that trail alignment is and the big picture here. And we've broken up the trail into 3 different sections. So I'm going to go through each section and I'll provide some additional maps and or photos for you guys to take a look at, kind of see what's going on. So again, we're going to start at the left side of the page of the map here, at the connection of to the Westside Trail, which will be right along the light rail line here that goes east and west. So we'll be following along abandoned rail line. We'll come to 153rd Avenue where we'll have a crossing. That'll be our first road crossing. And then pop back up onto the adjacent to the light rail tracks and follow that over to the Beaverton Creek Max Station. And at the Beaverton Creek Max Station, there's an existing crossing. And so we'll take that to the north and then we'll head east and head through the woods. And then we'll come out of the woods over at Terman Road. So I'm going to go back and show you a couple other items here. So this is 153rd Avenue crossing. And this is an important crossing. It's close to the light rail crossing as well. So we have the crossing guards and we have lights and we have cars stacked up. So it'll be very important for us to look carefully with the city and TriMet and ODOT Rail as to how we design this intersection. Right now, we are looking at pulling the crossing down and away from the tracks and away from the crossing arms on the street, so that if we do have people crossing over and the train comes by and the arms come down, we have enough room to stack a couple of cars in here without interfering with the crosswalk. So there will be different types of safety measures that will be looked at here, possibly warning signs, flashing lights as necessary, reduced, well, this one doesn't pertain at this point, but and anticipated lighting. We'll have that at all of our road crossings so that they're well lit. And then in this instance, we'll be looking at some directional fencing as well. So this is a photo of the 153rd crossing. So we're standing about in the, just to the east of it, and we're looking west to the connection. And the trail will be coming down the gravel area here, as you can see. And then we'll cut across on the other side of this pole and connect with the existing sidewalk over there. So this area will be, there's a lot of infrastructure over here, a lot of utilities that we'll be having to look at very carefully and working with the companies on that.
And Renee, we do have another question that came up in the chat on that last one. The chat says, can an overpass work?
An overpass could work. The difficulty with overpasses is the expense. And there's also a very long lead up to and out of the overpass. So it would take up quite a bit of property and room to construct something to that effect. And that may be something that's prohibitive in this area, but we haven't considered that because we think that we can safely get people across 153rd here.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you. So now we've come a little bit further east and we're at the Beaverton Creek Station. And this is an existing crossing. And again, the trail will come along the gravel and then come up to this pad, the crossing pad here at the station. And we'll have a little whoop-de-doo here that the bikes and the pedestrians will have to go through. And TriMet calls them bedstead barriers, and they help guide people in hoping that they will be looking up and seeing where the trains are coming from. And so you're looking, as you're walking down, you can look up and see where the trains are. And this is a nice station here only because it's very open and visible. And then we'll cross over to the north side of the track. I did see that there was another question come through. Is that something I can?
Yeah, so another question in the chat says, what kind of separation will there be between the path and the train tracks?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, we don't want to be too close to those tracks, do we? There will be a fence installed. And if you have walked on the Westside Trail on the north side of the nature park, then you will see the type of fencing that will go in. And it's a 6-foot black chain link fence is what TriMet had us put in down at that section. And I'm assuming that that will occur all the rest of the way. There will be barriers to guide people, such as the ones in this photo at the 153rd crossing to direct pedestrians and bicyclists safely across the crossing there.
Thank you, Renee. And then we have one more comment in the chat. Let's see, it says 153rd looks like a major road, but there is typically not a huge amount of traffic at that intersection. So just a comment to share with everyone.
It is a pretty calm road over there from whenever I've been out there, definitely. And we'll be looking at all of those things as we go through the design and making sure that the counts, the road count, we'll do road counts and information like that we can gather from surveys or the county or the city on this area. So we do provide the safest crossing that we can. I think we've done this one. Okay, so now we're in section 2. We've popped out over on the left side of the screen. We've popped out of the woods, and we are now by Terman Road, which comes off of Murray and then goes under Murray and further to the east. So our trail will come out and we'll be crossing over to the north side of Terman Road. The exact location will be determined by sight distance and speed. Again, like I was saying, we will look at all of the information that we can gather from our engineers and surveyors and also the county and city on the traffic in this area. Crossing over on the north side, then we'll go under Murray Road again on the north side of Terman, cross over the on-off ramp here. I guess that's just Terman Road, it's not an on-ramp, sorry. Anyways, we need to cross over again, and then we'll be following the right-of-way partially on, partially adjacent to and partially off the curb line in here. And we have a couple of private drives that we'll need to cross. One is Thompson Trail Road here, and then we will follow again along Terman Road, cross over another private drive, and then about this point here, we'll cross to the south. That will get us over to the south side, which will then follow an existing trail that is already here. We'll improve that to our standards, and that will take us to Shannon Place. One of the reasons we're crossing over to the north side, or several reasons, I guess, we're crossing to the north side is it's very, very tight along the right-of-way in here on the south side of Terman. And also it drops off quickly into the wetlands and creek area here. So it would be very difficult to get the trail in on the south side. And there is a bridge that's super tight here. And that is another constraint that we have. as far as, when we were looking at the south side of the Turbine Road for the trail. The north side was provided much more space and kept us away from that issue with the water.
And
So
Renee,
then we come and we will be crossing over Shannon Place. This is the Nike employee store, and we would be crossing over to the south side of that driveway over there. So I'm going to take you through a couple of pictures here on this segment.
and Renee, it looks like we do have a couple comments in the chat and one question. I'll just share while we're on these topics. One person says, "I'm glad people won't have to cross on Murray. That road is scary on bike or on foot." It looks like there's some agreement among another attendee. And then a question says, "What kind of access will there be to Milliken Park and Ride?"
Yeah, the Milliken Park and Ride is the one that's right by the Nike store, as I recall. I think that's what it's called there. So if I'm gonna go back, I hope. Jespri, maybe you can help me go backwards. Thank you. So the Milliken Park and Ride is right here. The pathway comes through here, and there is an existing sidewalk that takes you down to the station here. And there's also sidewalk on this side, on both sides of Shannon Place. And that would get you over here to the Milliken Way station.
Thank you so much, Renee.
Yeah. Let's see. So I think this is where we start. We were stopped at, and so we would be going on the north side of the road. We have talked to the county about the width in here, and it looks like we've got plenty of room to put our trail in here. We may adjust the striping, and so we'll be able to come under here and then cross over and continue along that route there. And then this is the intersection here of Shannon and the Nike Store Drive, which is called Knowlton. And the existing trail I was telling you about that comes across that one triangular piece, it will come right out here to Shannon, and then we will be improving this intersection in here before we, cross over. And I'll show you that next. So these are some intersection improvements we're looking at here. A concern of Nike's when we've been meeting with them is that there is quite a bit of traffic in here on Shannon Place and can get busy, at our typical rush hours. So the concern was making sure that cars going through here slow down, and also slow down in coming into the access drive here into Knowlton. So some of the improvements that we're looking at are possibly a raised crossing here that will slow down people. It will be signed, pedestrian and cyclist crossing ahead. And we may end up having some flashing lights as necessary in this area. And we'll be working again with all of the jurisdictions on how best to cross this area here. Another improvement that we would make is tightening up the curve, the radius of the curve here. So as it tightens up, it causes people to slow down before taking the corner. And that would be very helpful in this situation when we have people crossing over Shannon and crossing north and south as well. We anticipate that all of our crossings will be lit. So from this point then, we will widen the existing sidewalk in here, and we will pretty much follow that sidewalk along the drive there at the Nike store.
Hey,
so this is
I have one more question for you. That's
okay.
For people biking to the train, are they allowed to ride on the sidewalk?
Good question. I'm not sure. As far as I've seen it done. So I'm not sure if it's a yes or no on that. Does anybody else have a thought on that?
I wonder if that is a question for the local jurisdiction.
Yep, that could be. I do know in here there is sidewalk on both sides, but the road does not have striping for bicyclists.
And let's see, she does clarify this has to do with the connection from the trail to Milliken stations.
Okay, so from this trail, then you would have to go south, yes, and typically bikes stay on the road. And so this right here, if you can see my cursor on the lower left corner, that is the entrance into the parking lot, the north side of the parking lot, and then the station is, of course, on the south side of the parking lot, about further down. So the distance between here and a parking area or the station it's pretty short, but again, like I said, there isn't striping on the road for bike lanes. And I'm not sure what the county has planned for this area right now as far as, addition of bike lanes or improvements to the roads right now.
Thank you, Renee.
Mm-hmm. So in section 3, our final section, like I had mentioned, we are on the south side of Knowlton Road, which is the drive into the Nike property here. We will widen that to our standards, and then we'll swing around the corner here, and there is an existing trail right now that goes all the way out to the corner of Hall and Hawken. And we will improve that existing trail to our standards as well. And then we would end up on Southwest Hawken Avenue. And from here, then there is the option to use the bike lanes right and left. And in the future, there will be a connection from Hawken over to Cedar Hills Boulevard with the trail system that, excuse me, that is a future connection over to the City of Beaverton's Crescent Connection Trail, which goes from the Goodwill. I think it's, I want to call it Dawson Road, but I may be incorrect about that. And further to the east over to the Lombard Max Station. So that's what our trail alignment is looking like. And here is a photograph of the trail at Hawken and Hall. And this is kind of where we're at. Over here is the New Seasons, and then we've got all of the Beaverton Mall over here. So my next slide is kind of our next steps and our community engagement, which we are attending to right now. We will be letting you know any updates on the webpage, so keep looking at that, as well as signing up for communications. And our preferred alternative development will be occurring now through the summer. We do know that we will need to look for additional grants to complete the construction of this project. We see that there will be a gap in funding. So that will take some time here in the next year or two that we'll be looking for that. And our construction documents and right-of-way, we're looking at starting that in 2022 to 2024. The right-of-way can be kind of a long process. And then construction, we're looking at 2025 to 2026. And I think that's about what we have. I did want to let you know that we will be going to the Board of Directors on June 9th. That will be our next public meeting that you're also invited to join. And they will be looking at this same presentation and deciding to approve it. And I think I have finished. Thank you. Appreciate you guys listening today.
Thanks, Renee. As Renee mentioned, so thank you for your time, and we will now open the floor to questions and comments, which have been coming in, rolling in throughout the presentation. And thank you, Liana, for keeping an eye out on the chat. If it's okay with everyone, I can stop share, and then we can go ahead and look at the chat. Renee, I'm not, excuse me, Liana, I'm not sure when was the last, which was the last comment we had read.
Yeah, so I shared with Tina and also Richard, thank you for your response. I simply shared with them that we can take a closer look at that particular connection, so an idea of what it looks like a little bit better. So we'll be able to share that with people. And then the other comments I see lighting the whole trail would be amazing. I also see, thank you so much. I am so excited to see the project. Thank you all for your efforts and hard work. I love seeing Beaverton looking to such rewarding and healthy projects. I especially appreciate keeping nature in the ride.
Sorry, I'm looking through the chat comments.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like there's a new one that just came through. I'd really like to make sure that the whole project takes into account bike commuters who need to get to all 3 stations, and bike cages at all trails to keep bikes off trains, is what we hear from Tina.
So you must be able to use the bike. I think they have bike stations at the Beaverton Creek station. I know they put those in a couple years back. I'm not sure about the Merlot station, if they've put them in there yet. Those were TriMet projects, and that would be TriMet would be a great information gathering spot for this kind of question.
Looks like she's referring to the bike cage at Beaverton Creek is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, not so much the one at Merlot station, sounds like.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thanks, Liana. We have a comment from Kevin Teeter, and it says also bike repair stations or at or near max stations would be nice additions.
Mm-hmm. It would be.
And
writing that down.
And just for everyone's reference, I'm not entirely certain that we mentioned at the top of the meeting, this is being recorded and will be shared on the district's YouTube channel in a few weeks from now when we are done making this, editing this and compiling this, and it will live on the project webpage as well as the district's YouTube channel as well. Renee, it looks like we have another question from Rose Thompson. Can you confirm where lighting will be on the trail? Is it major intersections only or the whole trail length?
Currently, we're looking at the major intersections. We haven't. Well, number one, we'll be talking to our board about that as well. But currently, with our cost estimating, we're looking at being able to afford the crossings for sure, and we'll be looking at the potential for additional lighting. Solar lights, I do see that one there.
It sounds like that's a possibility. So thanks, Renee, for responding to that. But I don't think we can, we're able to offer any specifics, but a nice consideration.
Yeah, we'll consider that for sure.
Yeah. And it looks like Rose mentions, if possible, lighting would greatly improve the usability of this trail, especially for commuters after hours.
Understand.
And women doing shopping alone.
Mhm. Thank you, Rose. Appreciate that. Anything else?
But this is we'll give everyone a couple more minutes.
Okay.
I think in closing, we did also want to mention that we will be adding the webpage where you can find more information about this project, as well as sign up for any upcoming updates. We promise to not send you spam mails all the time, but only specific projects about, updates about the project. And it will be a nice way to keep in touch, as well as stay up to date. So if Liana, we could add the project webpage link into the chat. All of our community members in the room will have access to it as well. That way. And as Renee mentioned, we have, we're also presenting, Renee will be presenting at the next board meeting on June 9th, as well as folks from our design and development team, and community members are are invited to watch the meeting live on the district's YouTube channel.
So I did put that project webpage. So you all might have seen that project webpage in the beginning of the chat. I'm also going to close with putting it at the end of the chat. So those are the same webpage there. That's your project webpage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think there's just one parting comment, last comment from Rose, which is a nice way to end the meeting, which is definitely thanks for making this happen. Huge improvement for the area.
We're pretty excited about it. Be a nice connection.
Well, in closing, I think this wraps up the presentation and meeting for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us and for taking time from your evening to spend 30 minutes learning more about this upcoming trail. We're very, very excited, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.